John and,
Patterson's, yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Which helped to start all this, what we're doing today.
Oh, yeah.
If it wasn't for her, there wouldn't even be a museum or anything.
Yeah, you
so.
see what my book looks like? This land was ours.
Oh, wow.
I use it all the time.
I could see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then the kids, they all went to school in Lamoille to
No,
to
just three of them, Paul.
Oh,
Peggy, Pete, and Paul.
uh-huh.
But their dad had gone to school there too.
Mm-hmm.
And their Uncle John had gone to school there. And this year, no, last year, that school was 100 years old.
I saw that, yeah.
Yes, yes. And but Peggy started there, Pete started there, Paul started there. And then when she was born, the year she was born, they disbanded it. They took the kids to school on a school bus. Not the spring, but the fall season. The fall semester, they took the kids to town.
So that was clear to town then?
Yeah.
Okay.
52 miles a day round trip for us. We were the first kids on and the last kids off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
So did you get where did you get on at?
The T down at
Oh.
the very bottom.
Oh, on this
On the
road
lower
that's-
Lamoille Road, yeah.
Is
Down
it-
at the T.
That's what the lower Lamoille Road is?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good to know. I had no clue where we were.
Uh-huh.
So, so then your husband, you said he went to school there. He was, how did he get here and what's his history? Because we don't have
well,
that.
he was born, this ranch belonged to his grandfather,
Oh,
John
wow.
Pellini. He had bought it from Hayward, Joe Hayward. And that, Joe Hayward was a son-in-law to the Streeters, and I can't remember his first name right now, Streeters. But they had a big part of the Patterson Ranch. John and then the Patterson's ranch. And this was given to his Streeter's daughter and her husband, Joe Hayward. And so, and I don't know why they sold it, but John Pellini bought it.
Okay.
And that was in 1916. Pardon me. And Judita and Pete Bottari, that was John Pellini's oldest daughter, was Judita Pellini.
Okay.
They got married in 1916, and they moved out here to run this ranch. And through the years, they were buying it from the
okay.
family. Anyway, John was born here. Well, I think he was born in Elko and not at the ranch. And DeWillier was born in town at the ranch also.
Okay.
But then they lived their whole life right here.
Okay. So then it's through the Pellinis that you're related to the Vegas.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
finally
there's
coming
five,
together
yeah.
for me.
Yeah, there's 5 girls. There was Judita, Annie, Ida, Jenny, and Alice. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Yep.
Annie was just,
Yeah,
she was
right,
like
yeah.
my little old grandma away
Was
from
she?
home.
Was she?
Her and my mother-in-law, yeah, she was. I got to tell a story here. You can stop that if you want, but I have to tell
No,
this
no,
story.
your history is important too.
Yes.
So when my youngest son was born, Philip, so Raymond was on a fire.
Uh-huh.
My folks were up in Canada having a nice vacation, and I was at the ranch alone. And my kids were, the older kids, Vince was home with me, he was just 3. The 2 older kids were in school in Hawaii, and I went into labor. So I had to wait for the kids to come home on the school bus. And I just met them at the highway, and I started driving to town, and it was September, and I had hay fever really bad. And I had a sneezing fit, and I got down about the Holland Ranch where Goygachias were, and I thought, boy, one good pain and one good sneeze, and this could be over, you know.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And I thought about driving in, and I thought, no, I better keep going, so I did. Anyway, I had him, and Raymond's brother had just moved to town like 4 days before and was staying with his dad. So I dumped my 3 kids there and went to the hospital, and I had Philip about midnight-ish. Had Frank Wiggins, he was the dispatcher for the Forest Service. I said, call Raymond on the phone and tell him he's got another son, and everything turned out. So Pauline, my sister-in-law, I'd already made arrangements with her, and so she came the next day and got the kids and went out to the ranch, and then she came to town and picked me up. And I felt good. I felt as good as I ever had after having a kid. So on the way home, it was a beautiful September day. And we got up there, and I said, you know, I need to stop and see Mrs. Vega. You know, she's just been so good to me. I just want to show her the baby, you know, because she was excited. And she used to sit in a chair like this right next to the oil stove in that old house. And we pulled in there, and I went in with the baby, and she just looked up at me, and I went and put that baby in her arms, and she went like this, and the tears just, she says, I've never even seen my own grandkids this quick. He was 5 days old, 4 days old, 4 days old. That picture in my mind is for, and three or 4 days later, she had to have me and Vince, who was 3, over. She says, I'm going to fix you lunch. You come over. I'm going to fix you lunch. She had a spread on that table. There were homemade raviolis, and there was, we always started with soup, of course. I mean, you just could not believe, for the 3 of us, a 3-year-old and me and Mrs. Vega. But what a, yeah, she was the little old Italian grandmother that I always wished I'd had.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know my own Italian grandmother too much. She was pretty crippled up, so I was never allowed to visit her on my own.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was just
Yeah. Yeah, they were awfully, and Aunt Annie always used to write at Christmas time, and she would always tell us how cold it was up there, and it was always like 20 degrees colder.
oh, at least.
At least.
Yeah.
And we just thought, poor Aunt Annie.
Yeah.
But anyhow, she was a dear person.
Yeah, she sure
The
was.
first time I met her, God love her, she said I was pregnant with Pete. And we were up at the cemetery, and he was born on the 31st. Well, by the ranchers, they used to go by standard time. He was born on the 30th, but he was born at 12:29 on daylight saving time.
Oh,
so,
okay.
yeah. But anyhow, that day we were at the cemetery, and she said, when are you going to have the baby? I said, today. And she looked at me kind of funny, and I said, oh, I've been having a few pains. But I said, when I had Peggy, I went up on Saturday night and didn't have her till Monday morning. I said,
Oh,
I'm not
gosh.
going to go and stay at that hospital for no reason. And so anyhow, somebody else I met that day, I can't remember who it was, but anyhow, they thought I was nutty on a fruitcake. But I went and had him at 12:29 that night.
Oh, gosh.
Dr. Delgades was going to deliver him, and he'd say to me, are you sure you are going to come to the hospital? I said, I'm going to come later. Well, finally I got up there. He was happy when I did, because I just wasn't ready to go up and spend a day or two.
An
up
extra
there.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyhow, but, yep. But God love her, she said, when are you going to have the baby? I said, today.
Yeah, she was quite the lady.
Then when I found out I was having Paul, it was quite a shock, because I had Peggy and I had Pete in the baby basket, the bassinet. And we were going down to the cruise place where Saskatchewans were branding, and Dewey was helping them. So anyhow, I met old Joe Saskatchewan, and on the road he stopped. I want to see the baby, he said. So he sees the baby, and Pete has a bottle. He said, how come you feed the baby a bottle? He says, in the old country we feed them breast milk to the pigs. And I said, dry cow, you know.
'Cause
I was never able to nurse my kids.
Mhm.
So anyhow, he says, I hear there's another one on the way. And I said, I don't think so. There was.
Really? Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
Sometimes that instinct or
I
something.
don't know what,
Messages from the angels sometimes.
guess, I don't know.
Yeah.
but
Wow.
we did, we have Paul on the way.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
Yeah.
anyway. It's been a good life, though. Hard one, but a good
Absolutely.
one.
Yeah.
People will come to visit me from California, my family and friends, and I'd get done with breakfast and dishes, and I'd say, now I wonder what I'm gonna have for lunch. And they'd say, you just got done with breakfast. I said, that's all right, I gotta feed them, you know, and boy, if I didn't have the meals 6 and 12 and 6.
Oh, really?
Pete told Karen, she says, did you have to cook 3 hot meals a day? And I said, I did. And she said, and Pete said, and if she didn't have them on time, she got help.
Darn.
But, you know, I lived through it,
Yeah.
and I fed all my kids and everybody else who came along.
Mhm.
And,
even the Jehovah Witness
oh,
sometimes.
Oh, gosh.
that was an experience when they came when Peggy was getting ready to go to school. I was carrying Perry. Anyhow, they came, and I let them in the house. And I was ironing Peggy's clothes, her dresses and stuff, to where she could wear them to school. Anyway, they talked, and they talked, and they talked, and I ironed, and finally they said, we have this bulletin, and it was 10 cents. So I got them out of the house finally, and God bless them, they can worship the way they want.
Mhm.
I don't, but please don't come to my house. So we were having lunch this one day many years later, and they came down the hill at lunchtime, and I looked out and I happened to recognize one of them, and I said, oh dear. Well, they came to the house and they said, I said, I'm a Catholic, and I said, I'm not, I'm not interested. Well, this and this and this, and he says, this is just 10 cents, and I said, I'm sorry, but I don't have any. Dad says, I got a dime in my pocket, so I had to go and get a dime from him to give it to the, God love him, to each their own, religion, but.
But you invited him for lunch?
No.
Oh.
No, I was.
She made that mistake the first time.
Yeah.
She's gonna make it
The door,
again.
Oh, that
the
was the
door
first
only
time.
opened a little ways.
Okay.
Yeah, just a little ways. So.
Oh,
But
golly.
anyway,
Yeah, it's kind of hard to avoid them on the ranch like
Yeah.
this, yeah.
yeah. I asked them the first time they came, I said, how did you find me? I said, my friends can't even find the ranch. They said, oh, we just found out one time that if you follow a road down there, this road, you'll find somebody at the end of it. So, and there they found me. So,
Oh, golly.
yeah.
Yeah.
She's fed a lot of people in the days. That's our friends Chiles's sometimes would come down and we wouldn't know that they were coming, and she would whip up a batch of pancakes if that's all.
Yeah, if that's all
they
you got.
they dearly loved peach pancakes and whipped cream, and we had
Mm.
the dairy cows, and so anyhow milk cows I should say, and they loved, and Dad loved whipped cream on anything, but they still talk about that. The girls do.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not
Yeah.
a tree that you're gonna find just any
Yeah.
time now.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No, Mildred and Louis Myers were dear friends, and I tell you, he used to come down, he would read our meter, he worked for the power company,
Mhm.
and he would come down to read our meter, and I seemed to always have a pie. And I said, you've got the best nose in the valley. Because every time he came, I had made a pie. So,
Is your oven electric? Maybe he read the meter
No,
and knew
at
that something
that
was
time,
up.
my oven was a wood oven.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I had quite a time with that wood stove in the beginning. I said to my mother, I can cook from one end of the top to the other end and do a good job, but my oven won't work. And she said, well, did you clean out the oven? And I said, well, look at it, it's clean. Did you clean out around the oven? And I said, where do I do that? And this little knob was in the front, and she just reached down and untwisted it. And when she took that piece of metal off, there was a clean out.
Wow.
And when I got that all cleaned out, you know, she showed me how to do it, and we cleaned the ashes out. I could use the oven. Yeah. But you know, they never taught me about the ovens on a wood stove.
Right.
We did live in Oregon for about 18 months where my mother had a wood stove, but I was a kid at that time and didn't pay any attention to what she was doing. But I got my education. It was a little different than the city.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So what are other, maybe you could help spur on, Pam, some of the stories that, because that's what we're most interested in, just experiences, and we got all the lineage out of the,
Yeah, she did, had a huge acre garden
oh,
and did
wow.
lots of canning and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then the kids, I don't know how to say it, but the kids were always involved in the ranch and all like that. But I said to them, you go up and you pull the weeds, and I said, you take your frustrations out on the weeds, and that way your life runs smoother and all like that. I said, if you're making bread, you just punch it and you just, take that, that way you could get the frustrations out of yourself and don't have to have a fight. So anyway, and if you make mashed potatoes, that's the same thing. You just, and today I have a fit because certain members of our family, and I won't name them, they like lumps in their mashed potatoes, and I don't. I like smooth mashed potatoes, and I'll say,
you leave
beat
the
them
skins
some
on.
more butter, more canned milk, little more salt and pepper. Now I can't smell and I can't taste, but I tell the kids I have a good imagination. So
There you go.
So I keep eating.
Sure, yeah, yeah.
So, yep.
Were there some big shindigs? Where did you go to dances when you guys
Everywhere.
were? Everywhere.
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 We went everywhere. In our centennial or bicentennial was 64, I think it was. And I had my 4 nieces and 1 nephew. No, three nieces and 1 nephew because Tommy didn't stay all summer that year. So I had Tim, my nephew, Bottari from Elko. So I had 10 kids that summer. And I'll tell you, we went to every dance that there was. And we all had our long dresses. Boys had their vests and their cowboy hats and boots, and we all had a big time. And the kids really enjoyed it. So we had to tell Daddy that if you just teach the kids to work, we're going to lose them. So you need to teach. I used to go to things. My folks would take me to different things, and so we started then going to the dances because the way you listened to me when I told them we have to teach the kids to enjoy things as well as work. And from then on we went to all the dances, the rodeos, I don't know what else, fairs. We just had we couldn't afford anything a lot of times, so I would take all the stuff to fix lunch or dinner, we call it dinner, and we would take and load them all in the car, and we would just, wherever they felt like stopping and fishing, or stopping and doing whatever they wanted, they'd gather me up a bunch of sagebrush and get me some rocks so I could start cooking. And they'd be out doing their thing, and I'd cook their meal. Pretty soon they'd come in, we'd have our meal.
Mm-hmm.
And we always enjoyed, that was our outings. We couldn't afford to do anything much other, you know.
We'd go up to the lakes
Yeah,
and
Yes,
stuff because it,
yeah,
that's it. You enjoy the simple things of life.
yes.
Because
yes.
they're there and they will be there.
yeah.
You don't even have to.
The kids were usually about 2 years old when we took them up to the lakes.
Mm.
And they'd walk a while and they'd get tired, and one of us would carry them. When she got it, time came along with her, the older kids, like Pete and Paul, and Dad and I, whoever it was, had her on our shoulders. And my dog would run back and forth all the way to the top of the mountain and back again.
Uh-huh.
But we enjoyed that. Yeah. We loved our mountains.
Tell them about the time we went up to Hidden Lake.
And I didn't have a horse.
Yeah.
So I rode on I held on to Chief's tail. And so we got to this one, we were going to Robertson and Hidden, and and then we never went to the other lake. I can't remember what it is. It's over farther. But anyway, I was hanging on to the horse's tail in the places where it was a little steep, and we got to where these red caps were, you know, wild strawberries, raspberries. And I ate them all. I wouldn't give them to anybody. I ate them all.
Because she was walking.
They had the road,
horses?
and I was walking. I needed to be
Yeah.
fed. I ate them all.
Oh, golly.
She's carried, like, when we've gone up to the lakes, she would put, like a zucchini or something, and she would cook up there,
Mm.
you know, and would take eggs, would take all kinds of things, and she would do the same cooking up there as
Mm.
as anywhere else.
Dad told me that one time I couldn't take that zucchini. It was a big one. You know, and I thought, oh yes, I can. Well, I carried it in the front of me with, you know, the saddle horn and stuff. But I protected it, and after I fixed it up there, he said, "I'm sure glad you brought it home." Yeah.
Gosh, yeah.
And there's nothing that tastes better than your food over a campfire.
Oh my gosh.
My mom says the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last time I went camping with my daughter and her family, it was my granddaughter's 30th birthday. We went to Jarbidge and spent the night out. And but anyway, we stopped at the Bruno River, and Clyde just has to throw a line in if he sees water, you know.
Yeah.
And so they caught a few little fish out of the Bruno, and so we get to Jarbidge, and then my daughter's allergic to fish, and anyway, so he says, "What are we going to do with them?" And I says, "I would have it for breakfast." Oh my gosh, that was the best. He fixed that for me for breakfast the next morning on the campfire. That's the last best campfire fish I've had. It's been a long time. She's 40 now, so I guess that was 10 years ago. And yeah, there was just nothing like it.
No.
Well, and then the company you keep
Yep.
adds to it, so.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know, we just had many, many happy hours in our mountains and out along the road fishing and you know, the one time I remember going over to the fish hatchery and over, you know, to Ruby Valley just to fish. Paul was a teenager and he was he loved to fish. Well, all of them did, but Paul was really a fisherman. And he kept trying to catch this one fish, and it just would bite, and he would lose it. And just one more time, Mom, he'd say, well, all the rest of them are up the dike, and Paul and I are here waiting for him. And pretty soon he got that thing, and we finally could get up with the rest of the bunch. But I never was a fisherman. When we went fishing, first time we went fishing, we went down here, and it used to be when we first got married, you could catch fish would go around a dish pan in the bottom like this tent.
Wow.
And nose. And he'd say, I'm going down to catch a mess of fish, Mom. In half an hour he'd be back with a mess of fish. But this time he was going to teach me how to fish. Well, I wore a white blouse. We got down there and he said to me, Mom, why'd you wear a white blouse? I said, why not? Well, you'll scare the fish. And then I'm jibber jabber. He says, Mom, don't talk so much. You scared the fish. So I just got back by a tree and sat down, and from then on I just cleaned the fish. And he did the fishing. So I never made it to being a fisherman.
Yeah, that's all right. As long as you can know how to cook them and enjoy them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a lesson too. My dad in California, we would be given fish, and we had to have a dry slice of bread beside our plate, because that would catch a bone if you swallowed it. So anyhow, I said to Dewey, I'm scared to eat fish. He said, why? And I told him. He said, I'll show you something. So he takes the fish, and he takes it and he lifts it off. He said, you look at the bones, and you think, well, there's one missing and there's one missing, so you know where to look for them in there. And so I got to where I liked fish, because I could get the bones out and not worry about it, swallowing a bone. But it took him to show me how to get it out, and they come out pretty slick.
So again, that rural living and doing it from the time you're young.
Yep, that's for sure.
Oh.
Yep. Yep, I kind of switched my whole being around. From being a brat in California and a ranch wife in Nevada,
Yeah.
I stayed with a ranch wife.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Tell them about the tight gates.
Oh, I always had a hard time shutting the tight gates. And boy, Dad and Pete and them could make the tightest gates. Well, this one day I got out of the car or truck, I can't remember what I had, to open the gate. We didn't have cheaters or anything on it, you know. And so anyhow, the truck ran, or the vehicle pushed the gate. It rolled. Well, next thing you know, I could close that like anything. I said, I know how to fix them gates. Don't you do that, they told me. So then, God bless Joanne Zollard, she said, I carry a little rope in my back pocket. She says, with a loop, and you just put it over there and put it around, pull it, and then put your loop on it. And it worked pretty good.
Make your own cheater, so to speak. Yeah.
Right. But I sure did fix that gate that day. It stretched it really nice. Yep.
Oh, golly.
Oh, well.
Yeah, there's so many things to learn
Oh, my.
once you start.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
They put some grain in up here, and one of her jobs was to go and fire the shotgun
Well, first of all, you got to tell them that
okay,
I was given a 410 shotgun for my anniversary. But
Nice.
I was carrying Perry, and with Perry I stuck out in front. And you know our hill here. Well, Dad told me after I got my shotgun, he said, now Mom, there's grain up here and the blackbirds are in it, so you go up and shoot them. Well, I couldn't walk up the hill frontwards because I was too heavy. So I backed up the hill.
Oh my
And of
gosh.
course you said you had hay fever. I had hay fever that year. I'd get up there and I'd get him in
sights.
in sight, and I'd sneeze and go. Well, then I'd get up there to where I had him in the right spot. And so I didn't get any blackbird shot that day. But I could come down the hill a lot easier
Oh,
because
I
I could
bet.
walk down the hill. But I had to back up the hill to get out of here.
Wow.
So, experiences, I'll tell you, with carrying kids.
No, I